Are you looking for money saving strategies for your business and personal finances? Are you tired of working hard every day with little or nothing to show for it? Contact Prosperity Financial Services LLC right now for your free financial consultation. Call now to reserve yours today. 804-349-8600. 804-349-8600. All right, welcome back to Purpose and Power Live. I am your host and your Purpose and Power coach, Stephen Walker. Glad you're back. Today we're going to be talking about the purpose for pain. The purpose for pain. You know, as you begin looking for your path in this life, the things that you actually were born to do, sometimes you'll think that the pain that you're going through is a derailment from your purpose. And I want to tell you today, and I want you to listen, that sometimes your pain becomes the arrow that pushes you in the direction of your purpose. And it doesn't sound right. It sounds counterintuitive. How can my pain help me discover what my purpose is? Well, I'm going to tell you. And I'm just going to share a little bit about my own story and some of the pain I've gone through and how later on it became a part of my story, which helped me to begin walking in purpose. You know, as a young person and growing up in Philadelphia, in Germantown, Philadelphia, when I was really small, my mom moved us when I was 4. But I remember there were a lot of instances where people around me were getting hurt and things were happening. And I starting to watch and observe people. And over time, that became a gift that I had because I'm always watching. And I guess by second nature, maybe it's my seventh sense. But I study body language, and that's something that helps me understand people and situations and circumstances. And so move forward from 4 into moving into Virginia, where my mom moved us to Richmond, Virginia. I remember elementary school, and I had a moment in elementary school that I'll never forget. And when you have someone in your life that comes at a time where you're going through pain, and they're there to comfort you, you tend not to forget those people. I had a kindergarten teacher, and it was Mrs. Walters, and she was just a wonderful lady. She was not only there to teach her class, she was there to show us life. And I remember thinking, outside of my mother, this woman is wonderful. I feel safe here. And so you'll find in your own life there'll be people that you've met throughout your life that you just felt a connection with, that you felt safe to be yourself around, and you felt like they had your best interests at heart. And that was Mrs. Walters in kindergarten. But she made me have a sense of wonder. And I often look back to her fondly to think about all the things that she did, just being a loving woman to her students, that has transcended the time that I spent with her. And I'm not sure whether she even knew how much impact she had in my life. But even from there were other people that I had. And when I got to 5th grade, there was another teacher, and her name was Mrs. Green, and she was a math teacher. And I always had a desire to be a good kid, to try to do my best in class, and try to just, not be a problem. I always wanted to be the good kid. I had an older brother who was always getting in trouble, and I was like, I'm not going to be him. And so I ended up getting the same teacher he got 2 years prior. And like I said, he was a troublemaker. He caused her a lot of problems. So when I got to her class, I decided, I'm not going to cause problems. I'm going to be a good student. And I remember she had this game she would play where if you were one of the first people who finished an assignment, a class assignment, you could turn it in at her desk and get candy. And I was like, that's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to be one of her best students, and I'll always be one of the first students at her desk to win candy. And she gave out this assignment, and the assignment was to read down. It had about 25 statements. You had to read all 25 statements, and then you had to begin. And the way the assignment was written out, you start reading, and when you get to the bottom, you turn it in. And I'm thinking, okay, let me go ahead. And when she said, go ahead and go, I started reading. And when I got to around, sentence 5, I realized that students were already moving around the classroom. Like some of the things said, like write your name on the board, and, throw a piece of paper in the trash and things like that. So I felt like I was getting left behind, and I didn't want to get left behind. And so I wondered for a second, how do they read through 25 sentences that quick? We only had like a minute or two of reading. And so I just jumped up and started with 1. I didn't even get to the bottom of the list. And so anyway, long story short, We I was the first one to the desk because I cut corners. I'm like, I'm going to be first one to the desk. I handed in the paper. And she stops class and she says, everybody stop, put your pencils down, put your papers down. She was like, come with me. She brought me to the front of the class and I was like, man, this is great. I'm first student. This is the first week. I'm getting candy. She already likes me. And we're standing and her back was to the chalkboard and she had me in front of her. And she put her hands on my shoulders and she said, class, let me have your attention. Everybody look up. And she said, Stephen is a prime example of a student that doesn't pay attention. And she rips me apart in front of the class. So as a kid, you would think that just totally devastated. That would totally devastate me. Actually, you might wonder why she would do that to a child like that, because I wasn't the only one not following the directions. And the way the sheet goes, so you'll know, the sheet had all these things you're supposed to do. And if you read it to the bottom, the last statement said, don't do anything that's on the sheet, turn your paper back over and sit quietly. So had I went to the bottom, I would have saw it and I would have been sitting in my seat quietly like the rest of the kids that were paying attention. The other ones have been running around with me, but she decided to isolate me for this honor of using me as an example of a student that didn't pay attention and follow directions. That broke my heart. There I was, fifth grade, trying to make a good impression on the new class of students that I didn't know, with a teacher that I was trying to please. And that teacher, who I tried to trust, betrayed my trust because of my own fault. Now, I accept the blame. I should have followed the directions, true. But still, there I was standing in front of the class, embarrassed. But you know, something happened. I was only embarrassed for a second because I realized something. I still was in front of the class. No other students were in front of the class. It was me. And she was trying to hurt me. And I decided I'm not going to let that happen. I'm not going to allow her to, and the word is bully. You could use a lot of other words, but I'm not going to allow that to happen. I decided in that very moment of my life that I would never let anyone take away who I am. No matter what their thought is of me, it's what I think of myself that matters. This was in fifth grade. And I have to let you know, only God could help me understand that. But in that moment, he gave me that resilience. He gave me that steadfastness of spirit. And that's what you have to have. No matter what people do to you, no matter what they say about you, no matter what traps they set around you, it doesn't matter. What matters is how you respond to those things. And the other thing that I knew is that if any kid in the class said something to me, I would just punch him in the face because I was a fighter. And they know, because they knew me from first grade to fourth grade. They knew not to mess with me. Now, the teacher could do that, but they knew they couldn't do that. So I was cool with that. But after that, I decided that I was just going to try to pay attention more, that I was going to really try to be a better student. But that's the thing that I want to show you is that pain brought out purpose in my life. And that one moment in fifth grade has helped me so much throughout my entire life. Because, you know, people in this world go through a lot of pain on their own. And there's a statement that hurt people hurt people. That's the way it works. People that are hurt end up hurting people. All right. And that's something that I've learned growing up and all the way through, you know, school. I've always had those moments where, you know, I had to make a decision. Was I going to let the pain that came into my life affect my purpose or who I am? Was I going to let it shake my foundation? And you might be going through some things right now that are shaking your foundation. It's making you wonder, you know, why am I even trying? You know, my boss doesn't even like me. I don't even like where I work. I'm not getting paid enough. I'm sad. I'm depressed. I don't have any friends. You know, it could be a whole myriad of thoughts that are going through your mind. But remember this. You are the only one that can change your life. You can change your life by making better choices. There's one thing that you have that no one else has. It's called self-control. You have the power to control yourself. Let's just say, for example, you're lonely. Maybe you might be feeling lonely. The answer is in the problem. Okay, never forget this. The answer is always in the problem. If you feel lonely, that means you have to get around other people. Now, how you get around other people is up to you. You could go for a walk in the park. You could join a church or a small group or a civic organization. You can become a volunteer somewhere, or you could just go help people who need help. Just walk your neighborhood, see if anyone needs their grass cut, see if someone needs, help taking out their trash, see if there's a neighbor that's maybe moving in and you can help them move in. There's things that you can do to change how you feel. But part of it is being honest with yourself. Now, some people will complain about pain, but stay in their circumstance. And that's when you have to be honest, because people will say, I'm depressed, I'm hurt, I'm lonely, but do nothing about it. So they really don't want to fix the problem. They're comfortable in the problem. They're not letting the pain send them into purpose. They're letting the pain derail them into procrastination, into fear, into stopping walking forward and moving forward in their life. Now, if you're watching this and that's you, I want to let you know you are here by divine appointment, because today we're going to get you dislodged. We're going to get you unstuck. We're going to get you moving again, believing again, hoping again, because all the things that have come into your life, they've come to pass. They haven't come to stay. They've come to pass. Think about all the things from your life that has already happened. Think about some of the challenges that you face that you have now lived beyond. That's what I'm talking about. That pain from your past is not the pain in your present. You've moved beyond it. Just like what's happening right now. If you keep living, if you keep breathing in and out, if you keep moving through life second by second, this thing will come to pass as well. And I want to encourage you, pain has a purpose. Sometimes pain will let you know what not to do. And sometimes pain helps you know what to do. So you have to start looking at your pain as a sign on the road to purpose that will propel you out into your destiny. Oftentimes, if you are comfortable, there's no pain, you will stay exactly where you are. And you might just die comfortable right where you are, but you'll never achieve purpose. Now, this is the Purpose and Power Live broadcast. And the reason why we say power is because you have that power within you to fulfill your purpose, but it takes you to make the first step. Just the first step. That's the smallest thing you can do, is one step in the right direction. But that means everything. You don't have to take all the steps. You don't have to take 50 or 10, just the first one. And you will be surprised how good you feel knowing that you're starting to do the right thing for the right reason to help you go in a direction you've never gone before. Now, if you put something before you and you say, what is it that I believe is my purpose? What is this thing that I think will make me happier? It could be, let's just say, for example, you might want to become a cook. Well, take a cooking class, or you could buy a cookbook or go online, look at some YouTube videos on how to cook and just start. That might be a good thing for you. Or it could be something like, I want to join a team. What kind of team do I want to join? And you just think a ping pong team, a pool team, a bowling team, a baseball team, whatever. Go and find where they are and watch and observe the other teams. And then when the moment is right and you feel good about it, join in. I once did that. I moved into a new place in North Carolina and I wanted to bowl. I've always been a bowler. And, I didn't know anyone in the area. And so what I did is exactly what I told you to do. I took that step. I drove up to the bowling alley when I knew they would be bowling. I sat there and I watched all of these teams bowl. And I watched. And I was like, okay, yeah, I see the teams and I see they got camaraderie. They know each other. That's great. So after they finished bowling, I got me a lane and I started bowling. And every week I would do that. Eventually, one of the team people would come over and go, hey, are you on the team? You're pretty good. I'm like, no. And they're like, look, we need somebody on our team. You see, if you make yourself available for the things that you want, the things you want will come to you. But you have to make yourself available. It's a simple equation. Faith plus action creates the proper results that you have been believing for. The Bible says that faith without works is dead. What that means is if you say you have faith for something, but you don't do what you need to do to get it, then you will never have it. Now, the opposite of that is true. Faith with action creates the results you've been believing for. Faith isn't like rubbing your, hand on a lamp and just saying, I'm gonna make a wish and sit back and just see if God does it for me. That's not how it works. You still have to operate in faith according to the thing you're believing for. You have to put action behind that. Maybe you want to go to school and get your master's or finally get your degree. Maybe you only have a couple credits left and you're like, I'm just so busy. You can just figure it out. Even if it takes you 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, keep moving forward because the best is yet to come. It's ahead of us in time. And there's so much available to you in terms of resources now. If you think about technology, I mean, you can find anything on the internet. If you want to learn something, if you want to be something, if you want to go somewhere, if you want to see something, you can just Google it. You can just go on the internet, YouTube, and look, and you can find it. It's out there. So the only thing that you're lacking is the proper motivation to move from where you are to where you say you want to be. And that's why we have this broadcast. The Purpose and Power broadcast is designed to help you to live the life you have been called to live. Why? The only reason why you're here on earth is because God created you for a purpose. And he sent you down through time to be alive right now for such a time as this, to do a specific thing in the earth that only you can do. And people around you are waiting for you to become whatever it is you're supposed to be. Why? Because when you get to where you're supposed to be, they're going to meet you and you're going to have some answers for them. And we talk about that a lot. We talk about how oftentimes people's answers are tied to your purpose. And I mean you. You're watching. I'm speaking to you. There are people who need you to be in place. Now, that may not be a motivator for you, but I want you to think about how many people have come into your life that were in place that help you. What do I mean? What about teachers, bosses that have hired you, friends that you met on your jobs, strangers that opened up doors and said a kind word or did a kind gesture for you, family members. There are people who are in our life that are there to add to us, and people are waiting for you to do the same thing. So tonight, make your mind up, make a decision that from this moment forward, I'm going to live a life of purpose. You may not even know what your purpose is, but that's okay. The fact that you're even thinking about purpose now changes everything. I see it like a spiritual magnet into the universe, that now that your mind is focused on purpose, now God can start revealing to you why you were created. Why? Because you're open to it. You're open to understanding now. I don't know what that's called, but I've seen it happen in my own life where my mom or my wife or my sister would try to give me instructions or tell me something, and I just couldn't hear them. For some reason, I couldn't hear them. Then later on in time, as we move forward in time, a day would come where someone else would say exactly the same thing, and I would catch it just like that. And inevitably, my mom or my wife would be standing there and say, I've been saying that for a year, right? But I wasn't ready until that moment. So when you're ready, that's when your ears will be open and you will hear and you will listen, because we can hear a lot of things, but it's the things we listen to that change our life. So I want you to do that. So I'm gonna give you a little test right now. I want to help you understand something. Okay, this is what I want you to do. I want you to take your hand and I want you to raise it as high as you can. Just raise it. No, I want you to do this. Take your hand and raise it as high as you can. All right, you got it as high as you can? Now raise it higher. Now, look what happened. I want you to see what happened in your life. Hopefully you did it, because if you did it, you're going to get a revelation. When I asked you to raise your hand as high as you can, you heard me say, raise your hand as high as you can. And you did that. When I said, raise it higher, you were able to raise it higher. The question is why? Why were you able to raise it higher? The answer is because the first time you heard me say, raise your hand as high as you can. And when you followed the instructions, you said, this is as high as I'm raising it, because this is all I feel like raising. This is all you're going to get. But when I asked you again to raise it higher, you had to make a choice. Would you submit to that and listen this time? And you were able to raise it higher. That's how you have to be in life. You have to know that you can always do more, but you have to listen and do what is said. That's the only way you're going to get the maximum out of your life. Don't just do what you feel. That's all I'm getting. I've done this at when I do public speaking. I've done this at conferences. I've done this in front of large groups of people. And when I say raise your hand as high as you can, the first time, there's literally been people who have stood up and raised their hand. And there's been others who have stood up in chairs and raised it as high as they could. Why? Because they listened from the beginning. Those are people who take quick action and get quick manifestation of what they're believing for. You can be that kind of person. So from this moment right here, when you hear instructions that resonate within your heart, when you hear the words that are the answers you've been looking for, take immediate action. Why? Because your body will tell you, nah, we're only going to do this. This is all I feel like today. You got to stop that. I'm telling you, if you're going to reach your purpose, you're going to have to change something. And the thing you're going to have to change is you. Think about it. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you have right now. You don't want another year where you are. You don't want another year being the same person that you are right now. Why? Because you can be better. You can do more. You can achieve more. You can have more. You can give more. You can always do more. And that's what I want you to know tonight. So hopefully this has blessed you. I hope you can share this with other people because I want them to get it. The reason why I'm able to encourage you and inspire you with what I've learned in my own life is because people have blessed me, because they have shown up in my life and they have blessed me because my answer was inside of them. And one of those people is this lady right here, Evelyn Smith Booker. She wrote a book called A Winner in Spite of. You see that right there? A Winner in Spite of. She's our special guest tonight. And she's going to be on the other side. We'll see you with her in just a minute. In 3, 2, 1. Okay, I guess we're not going to commercial. I just knew we were going to commercial because I was like, we'll be right back. And I expected for it to roll right on through to commercial. Are you looking for money-saving strategies for your business and personal finances? Are you tired of working hard every day with little or nothing to show for it? Contact Prosperity Financial Services, LLC right now for your free financial consultation. Call now to reserve yours today, 804-349-8600, 804-349-8600. All right, welcome back. Man, do y'all have a treat coming your way? That whole front half of the show was a setup to meet Evelyn Smith Booker. She has been used so mightily in my life as a person on my path to purpose. And I wanted to share her with you. I decided I wasn't going to be greedy. I decided, you know what? I need to share Evelyn with the world. Everybody needs to know who she is. Why? Because she is so full of wisdom and virtue and power. And I want to go ahead and bring her on and introduce you to Evelyn Smith Booker.
Good evening, everybody.
Hey, Evelyn, welcome to the show.
Hello, hello, hello. It's a blessing and a pleasure to be here.
All right, so I'm going to read I showed everybody your book, and I'm going to read just the first paragraph on the back of it, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So it says, a winner in spite of. from humble beginnings in a small eastern North Carolina town to a seat at the table of a #1 television station is not a path for the faint-hearted, but Evelyn Smith Booker made the journey. On the way, she had an intriguing and auspicious start in life, integrated her local high school, was the unofficial valedictorian of her graduation class, set record after record, breaking the glass ceiling as a television executive in ad sales, and mentored many fine people on her way who have climbed their own ladders of success. Welcome to the show, Evelyn Smith Booker, one of my favorite people in the whole wide world.
Awesome, awesome. Marvelous to be here.
Well, look, I want people to understand you, and I want to go all the way back to the beginning. Let's go back to your childhood or when you were young. Mm-hmm. So who was one of the biggest influencers in your life? And we can do childhood and adulthood.
Okay. The biggest influencer in my life was actually my mom. I lost my dad when I was only 10 years old. So my mom kind of took over the role as mom and dad. So she was very instrumental in getting us on the right track and saying that no matter what, you have to get an education. No matter what, you have to get an education. And in order to get an education, you've got to prepare yourself mentally to do that. Yeah. So the biggest influencer was my mom. And she always taught us too, no matter what task you're undertaking, give it 100% plus of your efforts. And the third thing that she taught us was to always treat people the way you'd like to be treated. So that's been a part of me, part of my DNA from the beginning until now.
All right. So now you grew up in the South. How was it growing up in the South?
Very interesting. Back then, people didn't really consider us a whole person. In fact, we were watching CNN last night, and Chris Cuomo was talking about that same thing. We were considered 3/5 of a person. So growing up in the South was pretty difficult. But our parents also taught us, especially our mom, that you're just as good, if not better, than the next person. The only difference is how do you apply your God-given talent? So we knew from the beginning that we were good. If you apply your God-given talents, then that makes you just as good, if not better, than your counterparts. So growing up in the South was difficult. In the book, I talk about my sister Clara and I integrating the school system in Columbus County in 1965.
So now, how many brothers and sisters do you have?
You were going to ask something, Stephen.
Yeah, I think we have a delay. Actually, it looks like we have.
There were 10 of us. My mom was pregnant for 20 years.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. So then how was it?
There were 10 of us. So we came in sets of 2 girls.
So we are having a little technical difficulty. It looks like there is a delay in the broadcast. So I'm going to ask you a question, and then you can just answer it when you finally hear it. But you were saying there was 10 of you. So go ahead. You were saying 2 girls.
2 boys, 2 girls, and the last 2 were boys. And we're all 2 years apart, except the first 2 are 18 months apart, and the last 2 boys were 3 years apart. So technically, my mom was pregnant for 20 years. So she was a very, very bright woman, and she was beautiful inside and out. So we learned a lot from her, a lot.
Wow. So you grew up on a farm. How was that?
That was pretty interesting. Everything that we ate, we grew. All of our vegetables, all of our meats, the hogs, we had chickens, we had cows. So we had our own milk. My mom made the butter. She made soap, everything that we used in the house except flour, sugar, and rice. We grew on the farm. And for instance, you were asking what was it like? My dad and my brothers would plant sweet potatoes and white potatoes. And then they would gather them and they would build a bank. The bank was made of straw and dirt. A layer of straw, layer of dirt. And they built it about 5 feet tall. And they would put the potatoes in that bank and store them for the winter. There was a little door for entrance and to exit. And they would get whatever we call mess that my mom needed to prepare dinner, bring them out, close the door so that it was shut tightly to keep all of the food good, preserved. Wow. So we had one day that my parents would kill hogs and the entire neighborhood would come and they would share. So you had your sausage.
All right. It looks like we may have lost the connection there. We were having some challenges. Hopefully she'll come back on and we can bring her back up. Yep, it was just confirmed. We did just lose that connection. Man, she was just talking about sausages. She was talking about the life of living on the farm, and you can know that could be a challenge sometimes. So, all right, Evelyn, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Okay, so there seems to be some interference with the broadcast. We lost your signal for a second, but go ahead. Feel free to. You were saying that you guys had the day that all the neighbors would come together.
Yes. Right. So with that hog killing day, my parents would probably kill 3 or 4, but everybody in the neighborhood got to share. So you had your sausage, your pork chops, your chitterlings, your rinds, your skins, everything that you needed for the winter months. You were given that. So good eating, good eating.
That sounds like it. Look, I ate dinner already, but you got me hungry again for some reason. I don't know what's going on. So now, yeah, from what age to what age were you on the farm? So what age were you when you what age were you when you were on the farm?
Oh, from childhood until I graduated from high school. We still have that farm today.
Oh, that's great.
Yes.
Okay. So now, being in the South, did you encounter any prejudice?
Oh, yes. Yes, definitely. In fact, when we would go to Whiteville, which was 16 miles away from Nakina, but when we would go to buy our school clothes at the end of the summer, after our parents sold tobacco and we got money, we would all go to Whiteville to shop for school clothes. And you couldn't even go into the restaurant. If you wanted a hot dog and French fries, you had to go to the back of the restaurant, and there was a little hole about the size of your upper and head, and you would have to order through that little hole, and you would get your hot dog and French fries and your soda from there. So you couldn't go in the front and sit down like the white people could. And the same thing with drinking fountains. When you go into Moscow's, the department stores to shop, there was a fountain for the white people and a fountain for the black people. So I've encountered prejudices from day one.
Wow. So how did you react to that?
You didn't have a choice. I mean, that's what it was. If you wanted a hot dog, you went to the back to get it. If you wanted to buy clothes and you needed a drink of water, you would drink from the black fountain. So you had to deal with it. That was life.
Wow. So now what part of the South is
that? I'm from Columbus County. That's Eastern North Carolina.
Wow. Mm-hmm. That's man, that's something to have to experience. And so in terms of integration, then you were part of history, from what I understand, integrating the school system. Tell me about that.
Precisely. In 1965, it was the first year that it was optional that you could attend the school that was closest to your home, or you could commute for 25 miles to the all-black school, which is where all of my siblings had attended. So in 1965, they made it so that if you wanted to go to the school closest to your home, you could do that. And my sister Vaughn and I elected to do that. Everybody else still went to the all-black school, Douglas High School in Tabor City. And that was interesting within itself. The bus number was 153. I'll never forget it. And our neighbors whose farm was adjacent to my dad and mom's farm, we'd been friends. They were white, and we'd been friends all of our lives. So when we got on the bus that very first day, we sat right behind them. And when we got to the school and started unloading the bus, and they saw Vaughn and me come off, they started calling us niggers and monkeys and gorillas and apes.
Wow.
Anything with a negative connotation that you can think of is what we were called. So,
wow.
I finally said to one of the little boys, and his name happened to be Smith as well. And at that time, I was very tiny and had no filters. So I said to them, obviously, you don't know that it was an option to come here. And my sister and I decided to come, and we're here to stay. So you're going to have to deal with it. And about that time, two teachers, Mrs. Biddick and Mr. Boyd, by the way, those two teachers are still alive today, came to our rescue and said, y'all need to stop this foolishness, back off. They're coming with us, and we don't need to hear another word. So the crowd was hushed, and my sister and I decided that we were going to do our best, as our mom always said, give it 100% plus of your efforts. And once we started getting grades and taking tests, and the teachers back then would post everything, last name first, first name, and then your grade. So once they saw that every test, my sister and I were at the top of the class, all of that foolishness stopped. So in about a month, things really kind of settled down, and we started to get along, because they discovered we were there to stay. And then, of course, in 1966, the other Black students came. But that first year, it was just the two of us.
Wow, just so brave. And, this, Purpose and Power Nation, you're hearing a story unlike any other. We usually see this kind of stuff in movies, but with Evelyn Smith Booker, she's lived this life. And like I said right before we started, she's a winner in spite of. That's the name of her book. So make sure that you go to Amazon and you look it up and you buy this book, and not only buy it for yourself, but buy it for other people. Be a blessing to other people for that's in your life. Now, so those experiences, I mean, if you think about, now, how old were you when you got to that school? How old were you?
I was 14, and my sister Vaughn was 15.
Okay, so
I was a freshman and she was a sophomore.
So did you ever have anybody that tried to hurt you in any way? And how'd you deal with that if that was the case?
No, I was very feisty back then, and I would fight in a heartbeat, but we didn't encounter that. We would call them bullies now. They would come up to us, and somebody in the classroom would throw spitballs and big pieces of paper, and hit us behind the head, and the teacher would try to find out who it was. And of course, the other white students wouldn't tell. But those kinds of things, my mom said, ignore them. But if anybody ever hits you, you hit them back as hard as you can. So that was the premise on which we were going, and we never had to hit. But I was ready.
That's right. That's right. We always got to be ready.
Yes.
No matter what color the person is, you got to be ready. All right. So now, you went on to attend a Black university, right? So you went on to attend
Yes.
historically Black university. Tell us
I
about
went to North Carolina Central University, and my sister. That was one of the best experiences of my life. Of course, my very first year there, after first semester, my freshman year, my mom became very ill. She had a massive stroke. And back then, they didn't have in-home care nurses like they do now. So my brothers called and asked if I'd be willing, since I was just a freshman and my sister was a sophomore, to come and take care of my mother. And I said, of course, you know, I only have one mom. I can always get an education. So after first semester, my freshman year at North Carolina Central, I came back to Nakina and took care of my mother for the next 9.5 months, and started back to school in September. And she said, because I sacrificed and took care of her, I would never have to want for anything, that God was going to richly bless me. And did she ever tell the truth? I've been richly blessed in sacrificing that period of time for her. But at 18, I was running a full household, being a full-time nurse for my mom, taking her for all of her physical therapy, taking her to all of her doctor's appointments, paying bills, the electric bills, shopping, grocery shopping. So at 18 years old, I was already a real adult doing adult things. So
That's
when
impressive.
I did decide to retire in 2011, it was ample time. Yes. But
Yeah,
going to North Carolina Central, I was going to say, I thought I was halfway smart, right? And listen, the very first teacher, and I always wanted to write. I thought I was going to teach school, but my very first teacher there was Dr. Blue. And when I got in class, she said, let me tell you something. The author gets an A for writing the book. I get a B for teaching the course, and you will get a C and below in my class. So I'm thinking, wow, boy, that's an awakening. But it really taught us something. You're going to have to work for what you get. There's nothing going to be handed to you at North Carolina Central.
So did you get an A?
And I was going to be an English major, and that was an English class. So not in that class, you didn't. Everybody got a C and below.
Man, oh man, no. See, I couldn't have had that teacher. I couldn't have that teacher. I'm telling you, because we would have locked horns. I'd have had her in the newspaper. She gonna give me an A. I don't care what she feel. You gonna do right. No, that's not right.
No. It was not right, and we complained. Our class complained, but it didn't do any good. And she was very tiny. She was a petite little woman. So really, we could have, 18 of us in the class, we could have beaten her up, but we'd have gotten expelled.
Yeah. We don't want to get expelled. No. So,
but being at North Carolina Central taught me a lot of things. You have to learn to deal with people, even living in a dorm. I was from a family of 10, so I was accustomed to lots of people being around, but having to share showers and share a room with 3 other girls, because there were 4 of us in a room. You had to learn to get along with people, and some people were arrogant. I'm coming from a poor country girl. And so a lot of people thought they were better than you were. But again, our parents taught us you're just as good, if not better, than the next person. The only difference is how you apply your God-given talents. So we all have a brain. And my mom said, what you get in that brain, no one can take from you. So study, and study some more. That was her philosophy. Right. Study, and study some more.
That's so good.
We've all gone on to do well, and have all retired from corporate America. So I know that our parents are in heaven smiling.
That's right. Well, speaking of mothers, Mother's Day is coming up. So what does being a mother mean to you?
Being a mother to me means sharing with your children all of the things that you learned from your parents. teaching them core values, the simple things in life. And most importantly, knowing that you're there as their support system. When they were in school, my husband and I, every morning before they would leave here, and we're in the same house, we would stand in the foyer and we would hold hands and pray. And part of my prayer was, God, touch their minds so that whatever the teacher is giving out, that they will be able to not only receive it, but retain it. And we would ask that in the mighty name of Jesus. So one, I was on the Area Education Foundation for Fuquay-Varina, and one of the leaders asked one night, how do you have two daughters who are both straight A students? And I shared that with them. That's what we do every morning. And I made sure they had a hot breakfast. And that's what my mom did for us too, because she can't learn on an empty stomach, with your stomach growling. So we prepared a hot meal, and then we would pray for them. And when they would come in, we would check their homework, but we also would attend school for PTA meetings and then just go unannounced. And if they encountered any kind of issues at school, we were there to address it. Diplomatically, of course, but the teachers knew that we were their support system. So being a mother is showing them that you care, the sharing, caring, and being there for them, teaching them the right thing to do. And just like our parents taught us, to do the way you'd like to be treated. So that's what being a good mom is to me.
Well, I had the privilege and honor to work for you. And from the moment I met you, I have to admit, and you probably have heard this time and time again, but if I had another mother, it would be you. Somebody can just drop me in a basket on your doorstep and let you raise me, because I would have loved that. Then maybe I would have did better in school.
Well, thank you.
So now I know you and Lee have been married for a long time. So let's talk about marriage. What makes a marriage good?
What makes a marriage good is being able to share and give each other their space and the art of communicating. If there's something that you've done that's upset me, I'm going to let you know. And the same thing with Lee. If there's something that I've done to upset him, he lets me know. So the art of communicating. And then when you make up, it's the best thing in the world. But also keeping God center and first. That's the one thing that kept me grounded when I was working at Capital Broadcasting. And that's one of my chapters in my book, The Recipe for Success. And the first and most important ingredient in that recipe is to keep God center and first. And that's what Lee and I do. We pray as a couple. We read our Bibles. We study God's word. And we give each other space. So that's the key.
That's good. And how long have you been married?
We got married in 1973, September 1st, 1973. So soon approaching 50 years.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was born September 6th, 1970. So yeah, that is, you definitely could be my mom. All right. So, I do want to ask you a question about, managing a team. And I know that you've been a general sales manager for Fox 50 with Capital Broadcasting. And that's the company where we met. I interviewed, and I was just getting out of radio. I was working in radio with another group and had been there, I think at that time, maybe 8 years. But I had been in radio up until that point. Maybe about 19 years of my life was spent in radio, and I decided to go into television. So when I went into television, that's when I met you, and I interviewed with you. And you were gracious enough to give me a job, little old me, to give me a chance on your team. So let's talk about what does it take to manage a team?
You have to know people on an individual basis, and everybody is unique. So what you want to do, and a team is a group of like-minded individuals working together to achieve the same goal. So when you find out what makes a person tick, you tap into their given talents and let them know that you are a winner, no matter what.
That's good.
To come in, work hard, and give it your best shot every day. Act as if this company were your own company. Give it 100%. And then everybody who's pulling their weight to reach that same goal, you're going to be successful.
That's good.
So drive, tenacity, persistence, all of those, coupled with keeping God centered first, you'll all be winners. And there's a saying, my philosophy, if you think you can, or if you think you can't, you're right. So you've got to believe that you can.
That's good. That's good. So this is the book. If you're just joining us, it's A Winner in Spite of, and it's written by Evelyn Smith Booker. It is her first book. You got to get it. And so where can they get your book?
Just go to Amazon.com, and as soon as the search button comes up, you enter A Winner in Spite of, and it will pop right up. You order it.
That's right. So let me ask you now, why did you write the book? How and why did you write the book?
Because you know what? I had gone through so many things in my life, and no matter what it was, no matter what kind of obstacles I encountered, I was able to overcome them. And as the book says on the back, coming from humble beginnings in a small town in eastern North Carolina on a farm, and to be able to have a seat at the table in corporate America in one of the highest positions at a television station, I needed to share with people the things that if I can do that, anybody can. And if I can reach two people and help them know that no matter what kinds of things you encounter, you can make it with that tenacity, drive, persistence, hard work, coupled with keeping God centered first. There's nothing, absolutely nothing that's impossible. And there's a section in there where I talk about how you can change your thinking, your attitude from I got to do something. I got to go to the store. I get to go to the store, and think of all of the positive connotations that come along with it. I get to do something. I get to go to work. I get to eat dinner. Your whole attitude will shift.
Oh, yeah.
So I wanted to share those things so that everybody knows that if you think you can or if you think you can't, you're right.
Very good. I've been using that ever since I heard that when I worked for you with Capital Broadcasting and with Fox 50. So now, what do you feel has been your biggest accomplishment in life?
I think my biggest accomplishment has been to have two gifted and talented daughters, and to share with them what it takes to be a contributing good human being, and to see that they have gone on to be very successful. I think that's one of the biggest accomplishments. And then to have our grandchildren now that we can also have an impact on, and sharing with folks when they were younger that have gone on to bigger markets, and now they're doing great things in their lives. And people like you, Stephen, who are doing great things. I think that's the biggest accomplishment, is to help others achieve. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
That's exactly right. That is exactly right. So what is your life philosophy?
What is my what? I didn't hear you.
Your life philosophy.
Is to do unto others as you would have them do unto you, and that everything is cyclical. What goes around comes around. And if I help enough people to attain success, then it's going to come back to my children and to my grandchildren. And I can see it already happening with the individuals that they have become and the wonderful, marvelous grandchildren that we have. So it's coming full circle. So whatever you give out comes back tenfold.
That's good. All right, so let's end the show with this. Tell everyone why they should go out and buy this book, and how will the book help them in their life?
You should buy this book because it really is a roadmap to success. And success means different things to different people. But if you can come up with your formula, your 10 or 11 ingredients, then you're insured to be successful, assured and insured to be successful. A winner in spite of. If I can do it, everybody can do it. But you've got to believe in yourself.
Yeah, that's something that you've actually been teaching, and it's an inspiration to have a leader like you as a boss or a manager. Purpose and Power Nation, you need to buy this book. You need to give it to those who are young and old in your family. Why? Because it could change their life. It would definitely help them get better perspective and gain some wisdom on their path by reading the story of Evelyn Smith Booker and how she was able to become a winner in spite of. The book can be found on Amazon.com. You can search for it, and you can buy it today. And look, what you need to do is each one of you need to buy at least two or more, and make sure. I bought two when I bought mine. So I bought one for me and one to give to someone that needed to become a winner in spite of. Evelyn, it has been a joy having you on the Purpose and Power today. Sorry for the technical glitches, but you know what? There's pain. There's purpose and pain. This has been a little painful for me, but I know it's going to be all right.
That's right. That's right.
All right. Well, and do you have any closing words? Absolutely. Do you have any closing words for our audience?
Everybody is a winner if you think you are. And I believe you are a winner. Go out and make it happen.
That's right. I believe in you too, Purpose and Power Nation. We have had our guest today was Evelyn Smith Booker, the author of A Winner in Spite of. Make sure you get this book. You go to Amazon, you share this book with everyone you know. Share. Read the book and post some of the things that you're reading in the book on your social media. And make sure you tag Evelyn Smith Booker in it, Evelyn Smith Booker, and let people know that this book has changed your life. Make sure you share the nuggets that's in it and spread the good news that you are a winner in spite of. Hey, for the Purpose and Power Live crew, we thank you for watching tonight, and we look forward to seeing you on the next show. Are you looking for money-saving strategies for your business and personal finances? Are Are you tired of working hard every day with little or nothing to show for it? Contact Prosperity Financial Services LLC right now for your free financial consultation. Call now to reserve yours today. 804-349-8600. 804-349-8600.